Sanna and Sati, memory, recollection and mindfulness. There tends to be confusion among Buddhist scholars as to which mental factor in the Pali vocabulary corresponds to memory. Sanna is often translated as recollection, whereas Sati may be translated as mindfulness, recollection, recall, or memory. In regard to the latter term, there are some prominent sutta examples. For example, the passage praising Venerable Ananda as foremost among the bhikkhu disciples in remembering the Buddha's words. In this context, the Buddha uses the term Sati. All of my disciples, Ananda is supreme in memory, Sati. In the formal teachings, there is no confusion about this matter. Memory is not the exclusive function of just one mental factor, but rather it is part of a mental process within which perception, Sanna, and mindfulness, Sati, play the most prominent and important roles. Both the terms Sanna and Sati have overlapping meanings in respect to the concept of memory. One aspect of perception, Sanna, has to do with memory, while other aspects are separate from it. This is the same for mindfulness, Sati, as one aspect pertains to memory, while other aspects function apart from the process of memory. Note these important distinctions between Sanna and Sati in the process of memory. Perception, Sanna, designates and identifies sense objects. When one encounters objects as Sanna, compares their current features with established perceptions, determining any similarities and differences. If one determines that the old perceptions and the new correspond, this may be called recognition. There are differences. One creates additional perceptions. The term Sanna refers both to the recognition, designation, and identification of objects, the comparison and accumulation of data, and to perceptions themselves, the actual data and information created and stored. In this context, Sanna creates the requisite conditions for memory. The important attribute of Sanna is that it engages with sense objects immediately present. When these sense objects manifest, Sanna is able to focus on, identify, or remember them. Sati functions to draw sense objects to attention and to hold them firmly in the mind. It directs and sustains attention to sense objects, preventing them from drifting by or slipping away. Sense objects may be currently manifesting, or they may have occurred in the past. The term Sati thus encompasses such nuances of meaning as recall, recollection, calling to mind, reflection, remembering, and attentiveness. In the context of memory, it remembers and enables recall. In this sense, Sati is the opposite of samosa, which means forgetting. Sanna is not paired with forgetting. Sati is generated from within an individual, relying on the power of volition, even when sense objects are not immediately manifest. Because it is a volitional response to sense objects, it is classified as a mental formation, sankhara. Sanna records and notes sense objects. Sati draws sense objects to attention. both a healthy perception, the ability to identify things clearly, to designate things in a well-ordered and structured way, and to integrate and connect things, which relies on attentiveness and understanding, and a strong recall, the ability to recollect, which relies on clear perceptions, constant mindfulness, and a bright, peaceful and concentrated mind, are factors for a good memory. At one time in the past, Robert and Jake knew each other well. 10 years later they met again, and Robert recognises Jake and remembers the places they once visited and the activities they once shared. The recognition of the other person is Sanna, whereas the recollection of past events is Sati. On one occasion, Greg meets and talks with Carl. A month later, Greg's friend asks him whom he met and spoke with on that specific date. Greg reflects on the past and remembers that he met with Carl. This recollection is Sati. A telephone is located in one corner of a room, and the phone book is located in another. Karen opens the book and finds the number she is looking for. She makes a note of this number in her mind and then walks to the telephone to dial it. As she crosses the room, she keeps this number constantly in her attention. The reading and noting of the number from the book is Sanna. The recall of that number from the moment she leaves the book is Sati. When sense objects become manifest, one is able to perceive them immediately. Yet when they do not manifest, and in the case that they are mind objects, Dhamma Ramana, matters inherent in the mind, one can use Sati in order to draw them forth and focus on them. Moreover, Sati is able to call perceptions to mind. That is, it can recollect past perceptions to be the objects of attention. Sanna is then able to identify, clarify and consolidate these previous perceptions, or to perceive them in a new way according to one's aims and objectives.